Welcome to another edition of Biro Sports Talk. Just checking one more thing. Yes, we got the mic working this week, of course. And of course, what fixed last week was a restart of OBS, of course. And as always, let's make sure we get the correct hand up. Have a Retro got your gaming needs, game protectors, accessories. Love the Switch controllers I have. Got tons of different items, merch. Give them a look. Link in the description. So, as you all know, I am your host, Biro. As always, you can always ask any sports questions to BiroSportsTalk@gmail.com. And of course, we are on all social media platforms. Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. No, we're not on TikTok yet. It'd probably be a good idea. But we are on Instagram. It's mostly the same stuff you see on Twitter and Facebook. So, let's not forget there's a Discord. If you're in the chat, I think I can do it that way. Let's see. Yeah, did it. Look at that. Look at that. Got it working. So, I don't know if it's on Facebook, though. But on Twitch, you can at least see that. So, moving right along. So, we have NFL predictions this week. Or last week, we talked about the NFC AFC East. This week, we will talk about the NFC AFC West. I'm trying to see things working, and of course, too many things crashes everything. Just crashes everything. Oh, man. That was all in June. Just double checking, like I said, a few things. Man, of course, so many different things. Anything Final Fantasy seems to be removed from the Facebook page. You can find it on words on YouTube. I was trying to see the live. There we go. I'm trying to see the live video more so. Of course, now we're not going to work. Here we go. Right there. Come on, go back. Go back. You can do it. Yep, right there's what I want. So hard. And it looks like rain. I see the about you. I don't see. Oh man, this is just so difficult. Trying to just see if something worked while live. Just trying to see if it worked. I see one comment, and that's what I thought. You can't see the bot on Facebook, so that's all I was trying to find out. That's all I was trying to find out. But because the bot brought it up, we'll see if this works. If it doesn't work, I apologize. It probably needs a new code, but I believe I switched out the code already to be longer. So there's that. There you go. Like I said, though, this week we were doing the AFC, NFC West. So in the NFC West, man. Because, we got to look at how it all ended last year. And then verse it this year. What changes happened. All that fun jazz. So we'll start with the NFC West. You got the Rams, Cardinals, 49ers, and Seahawks. Seahawks losing a key component in Russell Westbrook. Rams, of course, doing very well. So what I'm going to pick this year. So they had 3 playoff teams. You had the Rams, Cardinals, and 49ers. Seahawks probably would have been a playoff team if it wasn't for unfortunate injuries and so on. But I'm going NFC. Let's start there. NFC, we're going Cardinals, Rams, 49ers, Seahawks. The biggest difference is I have the Cardinals winning that extra game over the Rams. I do think they're going to be neck and neck again. Cardinals just adding versatility in the wide receiving core. Again, we will do records at a later date. But for now, Cardinals, like I said, I have them winning. I think the Rams, they added some pieces as well, but they also lost some pieces, which is fine. I think that magical run was just meant to happen last year. I mean, Stafford being on such a low team, they kind of needed that. I mean, they lost every game in the preseason. They started off with a loss to the 49ers. They lost to the 49ers in Week 10, but it's always that you can't beat them 3 times mentality in a year. It always seems to happen. If you beat someone 3 times, then you really have their number, but very rarely do you see a team beats another team 3 times in the same year. Very hard. I mean, they started off pretty good. I mean, they were 5-1 last year, then they were 5-4. Won another 4 games, so then they went to 9-4, 9-5, and won the last 3. Sorry, I'm reading it the opposite way. Wow. So they started off 3-1, became 7-1, lost 3, so they're 7-4. Rattled off another 5, so 12-4, and went 12-5. Of course, then they won the next 3, but they finished 12-5 in the standings. Now, the Cardinals, we're just going to open all 4 because, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it the right way, as some would say. The Cardinals, weird. Anyways, Cardinals started off great. I mean, they were 7-0. After another 4 games, they were 9-2, which is really good. 10-2. Then they lost 3 in a row. They 10-3, 10-4, 10-5. Beat Dallas to go 11-5, and then lost to Seattle to be 11-6. Let's see. Here it is. They lost to the Rams 34-11, which is crazy to think about. Especially since Murray was out for 3 games. And they only had 1 game where a rusher had 100 yards, which is crazy to think about. But for as many talented guys on their roster on offense, you would think they would be a little better. I'm not going to lie. I would think they'd be a little better. I do know who's on the team this year. I mean, you got DeAndre Hopkins. You got Marquise Brown now. You got A.J. Green. I mean, you got some guys. Rondale Moore from Purdue. Talent right there. Speedster. Isn't it Ertz? Yeah, Zach Ertz is on the team as well. I mean, they got guys. I expect them to excel a little bit more this year. I think last year is just a little early for them. You look at their home record last year; they were 3-5, 8-1 away. I think you'll see them do better. The 49ers, on the other hand, they were 10-7. I think you'll see some less wins, I guess is how I'll phrase it. Less wins. Why? Let's get off of this year, move to next year. There we go. Last year. Sorry. Last year, the 49ers started 2-0, but then you saw a 4-game losing streak, 2-4. Those losses were to Green Bay, to Seattle, to the Cardinals. Those three all kind of close, within a touchdown, and then the Colts just destroyed them. Well, then the Bears won, or they beat the Bears in Week 8. Lost to the Cardinals going 3-5. Then they rambled off, 3 wins. Beat the Rams, beat Jacksonville, beat the Vikings. They're 6-5. A loss to Seattle, 6-6. Very weird. They were 2-4 against everyone but. Or they were 2-4 in the NFC West, and they beat the Rams twice, but not the third time. But after that Seattle loss, they were 6-6. They were 4-1 after that, ended 10-7. In the postseason, of course, they beat Dallas, they beat Green Bay, and they lost to the Rams. It happens. You just can't beat a team a third time. What's worse is, as bad as that score was at 20-17, the Rams needed 13 fourth quarter points to win. And of course, you got your Seahawks. Again, they ended 7-10. Depending, let's look at the schedule real quick. LL depends. 2 more L's. L depends. LL. Yeah. You're I'm guessing a worse record than 7-10. I'm just going out there, going to say it. And Wilson, he got hurt, but he wasn't out for much. He played a lot. So looking at this, you had the Colts. They won that. They started the season, their first 4 games, 2-2. Lost to Minnesota pretty badly. Lost a close one to Tennessee. They beat the 49ers. Then they lost 3 in a row to the Rams, the Steelers, and the Saints. 2-5. Beat Jacksonville. And then another 3-game losing streak. 3-8. The one that probably hurt the most was Washington, dude. Losing to the Commanders. Beat the 49ers, beat Houston, lost to 1-2, ended 7-10. Here is what's fascinating to me. So we're going to look at the stats. So I see a 3-point loss. A 3-point loss, a 3-point loss. A 2-point loss. A 1-point loss. There's 5 games there that if they swung in any other direction, so if I pull these games up, because that's That's what I do. I pull these games up so I can give you true stats. So Tennessee kicked the game-winning field goal. Seattle probably didn't do anything with it. Yeah, pretty much. And then Randy Bullock kicked a 36-yarder. Happens. Against the Saints, last-second field goal. Can't do much else. And that was when Geno Smith was quarterback. Russell's in there. Probably win. They're at 3-4, not 2-5. Another Geno Smith game against the Steelers. Steelers kick a field goal towards the end of the half. Game over. Again, Russ playing. Probably winning again. There's 2 games. 2 games, technically 3 that could have easily swung the other way. Russ played in the Commanders game. Yeah. I'm looking at it and I'm not quite sure. Besides that, Washington went for a 2-point conversion and got it where Seattle couldn't. But Washington's always had a decent defensive in these last few years. So I'm not surprised. Again, probably should have won. Swing it the other way. The Bears game. Oh boy. Oh boy. That's a Nick Foles game who started. Nick Foles finds Jimmy Graham in the end zone. Gets a 2-point conversion. Wins it. Yeah. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4 games. Swing those 4 over. You're sitting at 11-5, and you're probably in the playoffs. And it's not 11-5. 4 games. It'll be 11-6. There we go. And that's what the Cardinals were. So like I said, you'd be in playoffs. Yeah, you'd just be in playoffs. AFC. Saints would be a little worse, but that wouldn't bother anything playoff-wise. Washington didn't make playoffs, so that didn't matter. And, of course, the Bears didn't make playoffs, so, again, didn't matter. You would just bump the 49ers out. Crazy to think about all that. Really crazy. But that's how you end up with these what-if games. But I digress. Let's move back into the AFC. So the AFC West, we're looking at the Chiefs, Raiders, Chargers, and Broncos. If a division was to have 3 playoff teams, this is probably it. And it's a hard 3 to pick. It is. I truly think it's a hard 3 to pick. I do think the Chargers will make a run for it. I do think the Chiefs and Broncos and the Raiders have arguments also to make. All 4 teams are playoff caliber teams. I'm going to say I think the Raiders would be 2, and I think the Broncos are 3, and the Chiefs are only 4 because it's hard to rank them, and I might change this while I'm staring at it. Because I don't think the Chiefs lose a lot. I think I'm going to switch it this way. I do think the Chiefs are 2. I think the Broncos are 3. I do think the Raiders are 4. Now, I just don't know, because I think what was missing for the Broncos is a good quarterback. I really do. And going through how they played last year, how the games were, will probably tell a better story. Because, I want to be high on the Raiders. I do. It's hard because do I think they did enough this offseason with just Devontae Adams? It's difficult. I really should probably see who they're all playing. And that should probably be a more telling tale. Because looking at it, Chargers have a tough schedule. If I had to look at all these teams, Vegas, tough schedule, man. Very tough schedule. Chiefs, pretty rough as well. I mean, this is a year where talent-wise, these guys, all 4 teams should be playoff caliber teams. And this is the year that you could probably say 2 make it, not 3. Only because how tough their schedules look. I mean, the Broncos, if I go back to this year and look at their schedule, it's a little lighter early on. Tougher at the end, but early on, pretty light, allowing them to probably build and succeed. All right, so we're still wary on where we're ending up because we have the Chiefs and Raiders. I'm flip-flopping consistently. We'll look at the Raiders first. How their season ended. I mean, they lost to Joe Burrow in a tight one. Probably could have made it to the Super Bowl. Just saying. Josh Jacobs, leading rusher most of the year. Didn't get his... I still don't know why they didn't pick up his contract. I mean, he's your leading rusher, and he's a pretty decent guy. He just didn't have high rushing numbers. He had, late in the year, 129, 132, 83 in the playoffs. But I think the same old story, essentially. Too many times, they just don't. They need to pass when they don't need to. Well, they need to pass because they're playing from behind. So let's look at the Raiders. They lost big, 2 touchdowns there. Big loss to the Bears. Okay, there's 1 close one, 2 close ones. They have 2 close games. So when they lose, essentially. The Giants game, essentially just couldn't score a touchdown. That's what it came down to. And that's literally it. It's just they couldn't score a touchdown. And they had 1 interception for a touchdown. The other game, though, on this, another Commanders game at 17-15. Yeah. Vegas goes up 15-14 with 2 minutes 22 seconds left. And with 37 seconds left, Commanders kick a game-winning field goal. Not bad. Not bad. But, I mean, I'm more concerned with the 2-point win, the 4-point win, the 3-point win, the 3-point win, the 3-point win. There's two kind of big wins, a 3-point win. If I had to guess, these close games, let's count. 1, 2. We know there's 2 losses. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They were 7-2 in close games. Sure, Devontae Adams can change that. Yes, I agree. He can. We're looking at the standings. I think 9-8 is solid, but I think that would be the bottom. They're 9-8. And this is projecting without actually looking at the schedule. Because they'll win some of these first 5 games. I do think they'll win some of those. Tennessee doesn't look as great. You got 3 divisional games. I think they can win some of those. Arizona's going to be tough. But I think Tennessee, and then like 1 or 2. And from there, you have Houston's going to be a win. Jacksonville's probably going to win. Colts will be a little tougher, but could be a win. New Orleans could be rough, but could be a win. I could see the Raiders taking a step back. Looking at such a terrible start to the year, but somehow still won the division. Chiefs. They won. They started off really slow. They were 3-4, 4-4, 5-4, 6-4, 7-4, 8-4, 9-4, 10-4, 11-4 before they lost to the Bengals, and then they beat Denver. Speaking of close games, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They were 6-2, but they were 6-2. It's weird to think of the Chiefs being in such close games, but yeah, they were 6-2 in close games. Again, touchdown or less. They lost to the Baltimore Ravens, lost to the Chargers. That's it. 2? That's 3. They lost 3 times in close games. 3 times. Which are most of their losses. So, a little more balance. Could it swing the other way? Yes. This year, if we look at their schedule and how they'll start, we know they can start slow and still end very well. Yeah, rough. I don't think the Colts will be that rough. Tampa Bay could be rough. Raiders could be rough. It's just, I see like Jacksonville as a guarantee, and that's about it. Jacksonville is probably the only guarantee, more than likely. Everyone else will play them tough. And that's rough. It's hard because Broncos are going to take a step forward. There's no doubt in my mind that the Broncos take a step forward. Looking at the Chargers as well. So again, math with my hands. Win, loss. Win. Win. Loss. Win. Loss. Win. Loss. Loss. They were 5-5. That's how it should be, honestly. You should be 5-5. That's how you're 9-8. This is the year they take that step. This is the year everyone's projecting it, and I think they are going to do it. This is where you get those 7-2s or 6-3s with the less than a touchdown scores. So yeah, Chargers, I think they do take that step. And here is the most unique one. Don't really like sports. Maybe do a different kind of show. Okay, it happens. People can say what they want. I understand. It's all good. But, again, looking at the Broncos, though. Looking at it, this is with Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock. I mean, a lot of losses. There's a close loss there. Close win. Loss. Okay. 1-4. I look at these winnable game. Yeah, a lot of the games that they lost were complete blowouts. Just complete blowouts. But they can win those. A lot of them they could win. I mean, they were probably more like 1-4, 1-5. Something of that line. But I'm looking at this. And quite frankly, it's I think the Broncos are better than what they portrayed. I do think that. You look at the running backs, you got 100 yards for Williams and Gordon, and most of the time they're hovering around 50. You expect their receivers to do better, but they don't. Honestly, I think the safer bet for me, I'm going to put the Raiders third, and I'm going to leave the Broncos in 4. I want to say the Broncos take that step and go 3. And I do think they'll get that hot start. Because I think they'll beat Seattle. They'll beat Houston. But then you got the 49ers. You got Vegas. You got the Colts. You got the Chargers. I think they have winnable games. I do. There's probably 4 I would pick right now. But those 4 games out of 18, well, out of 17. It's out of 17. That's still 13 games. If you split those in half, give you 7. Hey, you're 11-6. You're a playoff team. You should be a playoff team. Ugh. But I digress. Again, leaving it. Going to do Chargers. Going to do Chiefs, Raiders, Broncos. That's how I'm going to leave it. That's how it's going to stay. We'll do records later on, which will probably change our predictions because, that happens. Happens. Next week, though, we will be talking about the NFC and AFC North, South. We'll do South. Of course, we're going to do North later on. As always, though, you can email your questions to birosportstalk@gmail.com, and of course, you can do I'm your host, and we're on every platform. And don't forget to give Evo Retro a look. I greatly appreciate anyone who stopped by. I take all comments, man. Hey, don't really like sports. Maybe do a different kind of show. I get it. K fillers. I get it. But I personally love sports. It's just what I like. The show's been going strong for, man, you would think I would remember this after talking about it not too long ago. Let's see. It was, if I look. Oh, man, it's so weird still. And I say it's weird, but it's only weird because it's... Show started from just... It has its own reasons why the show was started the way it was. Yep, and I see everything. I miss all the sports stuff being behind me. I mean, gonna have to fix that soon. And I do still have sports stuff. But I'm looking for the celebration just so I can say it one more time, man. It was like, what, 5 years? I think we're 5 years strong doing this podcast. Try to do every Wednesday or Thursday. Used to be Thursdays at one. Well, Thursdays used to be Wednesdays at one point. Man, I am really not seeing it for some reason. June 23rd. There's June. I just see nothing but June. There's that. And I'm not seeing the one I'm looking for. I don't know why. But I'm pretty sure it's been 5 years. Yep. June 20th. Been 5 years. 5 years of doing this podcast. And yet, I'm still enjoying it. And that's what matters, guys. So I appreciate it. Like I said, don't care what comments you guys leave. It happens. People are entitled to their opinion. That's why I'm doing this show, because of my opinion. So I will see you guys next time. Next Thursday. AFC, NFC South. What will Tom Brady do? What will Matt Ryan and the Colts do? I will talk about that next week.